welcome. It's Jonathan Williams here at the Bricks and Mortar podcast. This is the first of a number of podcasts that we're going to be doing over the coming weeks and months. What I want to try and get over to you is that mortgages have become quite difficult to get hold of, if the truth be told. And what I want to explain here are the three fundamentals when we're looking at mortgages. So first of all, we're looking at affordability. We'll talk about that now. We'll then talk about the decision in principle, and then we'll crack ahead with the application. So first things first, let's talk about affordability. What do we mean by affordability? As I say, very much in the last, I suppose, since 2007, 2008, post-property crash, we're looking at a situation here where the banks are no longer prepared to throw their money at everybody, and really you've got to be able to afford to pay the mortgage. Now, back in the day, it was always the brokers who decided whether or not you could afford the mortgage. It's now been taken away from the brokers under what was called the MMR legislation. Now, MMR, that's nothing to do mumps, measles and rubella. No, this is all to do about affordability. And what we're talking about here is, can you afford the mortgage? It's as simple as that. The banks will now decide whether or not you can afford the mortgage. And what they will do is they will look at income and they will look at expenditure. And if you can pass muster on income and expenditure, that's to say you are not overspending on a monthly basis, you've got a pretty good chance of getting the mortgage in place. So it's all about not having champagne taste with tennis lager money. All right? So affordability, income and expenditure, those are the two watchwords. So you might be asking me, affordability, income, expenditure, what that's all about. So let me explain the process. The process is very much driven by the lenders these days. If you go on to any of the lenders' websites, what you'll find is that there will be an income and expenditure calculator, in essence an affordability calculator. And what you will do, or what I will do as a broker, is that I will ask my clients various questions about income, various questions about expenditure, put all the numbers into the calculator, press a button, and then it tells me, in essence, what you can afford in the eyes of the lender, what you can afford to borrow. Now, that may be completely different as to what you think that you can borrow, but it matters not a jot as to what you think you can borrow, because you need to persuade the lender that you fit within their criteria. So let's talk about some of the things that can make or break as far as affordability is concerned. And let's talk about the expenditure side of things as far as other than the income, because ultimately for most of us, income is income. And we can't make a purse out of a sow's ear, I think is the expression. So what are we looking at as far as expenditure is concerned? Well, they look at your children. Do you have any dependents? Now, those of us out there who have got children will realise that they are quite expensive. And the banks will take into account that as far as their algorithms are concerned. So that's children are going to bring down the income. You're then looking at loans, unsecured loans we're talking about here. We're not talking about secured loans, that's the mortgage, unsecured loans. So that really does drag down the affordability. So if you've got a car loan, if you've got one of these balloon payment loans or just a personal loan, they will factor in your requirement to pay that payment on a monthly basis. And they will factor that in when they're calculating the expenditure. When we're talking about loans, let's talk payday loans, or rather let's not talk payday loans, because ultimately if you've got a payday loan, then you might as well just rip up your application, because no lender worth their salt is going to be prepared to lend you if you can't even sort your finances out on a monthly basis. So payday loans are an absolute no-no. And really, if you've got a whole raft of payday loans, irrespective of whether or not you've paid those payday loans right on the button every month, the mere fact that you've taken out a payday loan is such a black mark that it's very difficult to persuade a lender to be prepared to lend to you. So let's recap. It's all about affordability. That's the first thing that we need, first hurdle that we need to get over is affordability. And we'll look at income and we'll look at expenditure. What's going to drag you down? Children, how many children you've got. And payday loans is a no-no. And unsecured loans, again, that's going to drag the affordability down. Interestingly, credit cards is not something that makes that much of a difference. It's probably on the basis that as long as you pay your make your payments on a monthly basis, even if it's the minimum, just a minimum payment, then the banks aren't too bothered about that. So that's a rundown of affordability. Next time we'll talk about the decision in principle, and then after that we'll crack ahead with the application. I'm Jonathan Williams. It's the Bricks and Mortar Podcast, a sideways look at property.